In the heart of southern Africa, during a time of shifting alliances and fierce tribal warfare, one man rose from exile and obscurity to forge an empire that would change history. Shaka Zulu, born under the shadow of rejection, defied fate to become one of the most legendary warriors and rulers the continent has ever known. With unmatched military brilliance, he transformed the Zulu Kingdom from a small chiefdom into a dominant force, revolutionizing warfare with brutal efficiency. His reign was marked by both conquest and controversy, as he reshaped the region through strategic genius, ruthless ambition, and the devastating conflicts of the Mfecane. Though his rule ended in assassination, his impact endured, leaving behind a legacy of power, innovation, and resilience that still echoes through Africa's history. Shaka Zulu was born in 1787 to Chief Senzangakona Kajama of the Zulu clan and Nandi of the Elangeni clan. His birth was considered illegitimate because his parents were not officially married according to Zulu customs, leading to stigma and disgrace. This resulted in both Nandi and Shaka facing ridicule and mistreatment from members of the Zulu clan. Eventually, due to growing tensions and rejection, Senzangakona cast them out, forcing them to seek refuge elsewhere. Nandi and young Shaka found sanctuary first among the Elangeni people, but they were met with further hostility and humiliation. They later sought refuge with the Mthethwa clan, led by Chief Dingiswayo. Under Dingiswayo's rule, Shaka's life took a pivotal turn. He was introduced to the military system of the Mthethwa and began serving as a warrior. His early years had been filled with hardship, and the bullying and rejection he endured instilled in him a sense of resilience and determination to prove himself. As he matured, Shaka quickly distinguished himself in combat, showing not only physical strength, but also intelligence and tactical brilliance. He revolutionized traditional Zulu warfare by developing new fighting techniques, including the use of the exile, a shorter stabbing spear, and the disciplined bullhorn formation. These innovations impressed Dingiswayo, who took Shaka under his wing and became his mentor. His time with the Mthethwa allowed him to refine his military skills and leadership abilities while forming strategic alliances that would later help him in his quest to take control of the Zulu Kingdom. Shaka's exile, though painful, was instrumental in shaping him into the leader he would become. His years of hardship hardened him and instilled in him a deep sense of purpose. When his father, Senzangakona, died in 1816, Dingiswayo supported Shaka's claim to the Zulu throne. With the help of Mthethwa warriors, he overthrew his half-brother Sigujana, who had briefly taken leadership, and began his rise as the most powerful ruler in Zulu history. His early life of exile and struggle had prepared him for the conquests and innovations that would define his reign. Shaka Zulu's military training began during his time with the Mthethwa clan under the leadership of Chief Dingiswayo. Recognizing Shaka's potential, Dingiswayo recruited him into his army, where he underwent rigorous training in warfare, discipline, and strategy. Unlike the traditional Zulu military system, which relied on loosely organized warrior bands, Dingiswayo had implemented more structured and disciplined tactics. Shaka thrived in this environment, excelling in combat and quickly rising through the ranks. His physical strength, intelligence, and innovative approach to battle made him stand out. He refined and improved traditional fighting techniques, developing new weapons such as the exile, a short stabbing spear designed for close combat, which replaced the longer throwing spears. He also introduced the large cowhide shield, which provided better protection and allowed warriors to fight more effectively in formation. One of Shaka's most significant contributions was his reorganization of the Zulu military. He introduced the Impi system, a highly disciplined and structured military force divided into regiments based on age groups. Unlike the older methods of fighting, which emphasized skirmishes and retreating attacks. Shaka enforced strict training, endurance exercises, and close combat techniques. His warriors practiced barefoot running over long distances to build stamina, allowing them to march swiftly and surprise enemies. He also developed the famous bullhorn battle formation, where the main force, Isifuba or chest, engaged the enemy head-on, while two flanking forces, Izimpondo or horns, encircled and attacked from the sides, ensuring total annihilation of opponents. This innovative strategy gave his forces a tactical advantage over rival clans and would later be instrumental in expanding his kingdom. Shaka's rise to power began in 1816, following the death of his father, Senzangakona. At the time, his half-brother Sigujana had assumed leadership of the Zulu clan, but with the backing of Dingiswayo and his Mthethwa allies, Shaka swiftly overthrew and killed him, securing his place as chief of the Zulu. However, Shaka's ambitions extended beyond merely leading a small clan. He immediately began reforming and expanding his forces, absorbing neighboring clans and either integrating them into his growing army or eliminating those who resisted. His military reforms transformed the Zulu from a minor chiefdom into a powerful and disciplined force. After securing his leadership, Shaka continued to serve under Dingiswayo. But in 1818, when Dingiswayo was killed by Zwaid, the chief of the Ndwandwe, Shaka took advantage of the power vacuum and asserted his independence. He successfully repelled an attack from Zwaid and later defeated the Ndwandwe forces in a decisive battle at the Malatuza River. With this victory, he became the undisputed leader of the Zulu and absorbed many of the Mthethwa warriors into his growing kingdom. From this point on, he launched an aggressive campaign of conquest, incorporating numerous clans and expanding the Zulu domain through strategic alliances, warfare, and diplomacy. By the early 1820s, Shaka had established himself as the most dominant leader in southeastern Africa, transforming the Zulu Kingdom into a military powerhouse. His innovative tactics, ruthless efficiency, and ability to inspire loyalty among his warriors ensured his continued success. His rise to power marked the beginning of an era of Zulu expansion and military dominance, laying the foundation for a legacy that would endure long after his death. The Mfecane, meaning the crushing or scattering in Zulu, was a period of intense warfare, social upheaval, and migration that occurred in southern Africa during the early 19th century, primarily between the 1810s and 1840s. This era was largely influenced by Shaka Zulu's military campaigns and state-building efforts, but it also involved numerous other African groups and leaders. As Shaka consolidated and expanded the Zulu Kingdom through military conquests, neighboring clans and chiefdoms were either absorbed into his growing empire or forced to flee. This triggered a chain reaction of displacement and conflict, leading to widespread devastation, depopulation, and the formation of new political entities across the region. Shaka's aggressive military expansion played a central role in the Mfecane. His reformed Zulu army, equipped with the Ikalwa stabbing spear, disciplined regiments, and the bullhorn battle formation, launched campaigns against rival groups such as the Ndwandwe, Mthethwa, and Kwabe. Many of these groups, unable to withstand the Zulu military onslaught, were either annihilated or driven from their lands. As they fled, they in turn attacked and displaced other communities, creating a ripple effect of violence and migration that extended far beyond the Zulu heartland in present-day KwaZulu-Natal. This widespread displacement led to the formation of powerful new states, such as the Ndebele Kingdom under Mzilikazi and the Sotho Kingdom under Moshoshu. Mzilikazi, originally a lieutenant under Shaka, broke away from Zulu rule and led his followers on a long and violent migration, eventually settling in present-day Zimbabwe, where he established the Ndebele Kingdom. Similarly, Moshoshu of the Sotho people took advantage of the chaos to consolidate various smaller clans under his leadership, forming the Basotho Nation in the mountains of present-day Lesotho. Other groups, such as the Ngoni, moved northward into present-day Zambia, Malawi, and Tanzania, spreading Zulu military strategies across a vast region. The Mfecane also had significant effects on the demographics and political landscape of southern Africa. Some areas, such as parts of the Highveld, were left nearly depopulated due to warfare and forced migration. European colonial powers, particularly the Boers and British settlers, later exploited these upheavals to expand their own territories, claiming lands that had been emptied by the conflicts. This period also altered traditional governance structures, as militarized states like the Zulu and Ndebele prioritized centralized authority and military strength over older clan-based systems. Despite the destruction, the Mfecane led to the emergence of stronger, more centralized African states that could resist colonial encroachment in later years. The legacy of the Mfecane is still debated among historians, with some attributing it primarily to Shaka's military ambitions, while others argue that environmental pressures, competition for resources, and European trade influences also played key roles. Regardless of its causes, the Mfecane reshaped the political, social, and economic landscape of southern Africa, leaving a lasting impact on the region's history. After securing his dominance over the Zulu Kingdom, Shaka Zulu embarked on a mission to consolidate his power, transforming his realm into a highly centralized and militarized state. His rule was characterized by strict discipline, loyalty demands, and continued military expansion. To maintain control, he reorganized the traditional clan-based leadership system, reducing the influence of individual chiefs and placing direct authority in his hands. He appointed loyal commanders to oversee regiments, amabuto, ensuring that the military remained the backbone of his rule. He also established a well-structured system of governance, where taxation, land distribution, and resource management were controlled by the central authority, reinforcing his grip on the kingdom. Shaka demanded absolute loyalty from his subjects and punished dissent harshly, using fear and intimidation to maintain order. His ability to unite various clans under Zulu rule transformed his people from a minor chiefdom into the dominant power in southeastern Africa. However, as Shaka's reign progressed, his rule became increasingly autocratic and marked by acts of extreme cruelty. His military campaigns continued beyond necessity, leading to widespread destruction and suffering. He imposed harsh laws, forbidding marriage among his warriors until they had proven their loyalty through service, ensuring that the military remained the focal point of society. His forces ruthlessly crushed any resistance, wiping out entire communities that refused to submit. Those who survived were often forcibly absorbed into the Zulu ranks, while others were enslaved or displaced. The Mfecane, the crushing, a period of immense warfare and upheaval, was fueled in part by his relentless conquests, as defeated groups were forced to flee, attacking others in their path and triggering a domino effect of violence across southern Africa. Shaka's increasing paranoia and erratic behavior contributed to his reputation as a tyrant. Following the death of his mother, Nandi, in 1827, he was devastated and ordered an extreme period of mourning. He imposed a national grieving period where no crops were to be planted, no milk was to be consumed, and pregnant women were put to death, as he believed no child should be born while his mother had died. Thousands of Zulu people were executed for showing insufficient sorrow, and even his closest advisors feared his wrath. This period of extreme repression alienated many within his court and sowed the seeds of his downfall. By 1828, Shaka's growing instability led to his assassination. His half-brothers, Dingane and Malangana, along with trusted General Mbofa, conspired against him. They ambushed and killed him near his royal kraal at Kwadukuza. His death marked the end of his reign, but his legacy endured. Despite his tyrannical rule in his later years, his military strategies, state-building efforts, and ability to unite fragmented clans laid the foundation for the powerful Zulu Kingdom, which would continue to shape Southern African history for decades to come. Shaka Zulu's military innovations revolutionized warfare in Southern Africa, transforming the Zulu Kingdom into a dominant military power. One of his most significant contributions was the introduction of the ikalwa, a short stabbing spear that replaced the traditional long throwing spears. This new weapon, with its broad, sharp blade, forced warriors into close combat, increasing the efficiency and lethality of Zulu fighters. He also introduced a larger, sturdier cowhide shield, isilangu, which provided greater protection and allowed warriors to maneuver more effectively in battle. These weapons, combined with his strategic formations, gave the Zulu army a distinct advantage over their rivals. Shaka also restructured the Zulu military, replacing the old system of loosely organized warrior bands with a professional, regimented force known as the impi. Warriors were grouped into age-based regiments, amabuto, which trained, lived, and fought together under strict discipline. Unlike previous African armies, which often engaged in hit-and-run tactics, Zulu soldiers underwent rigorous training, including long-distance running, without shoes, to build endurance. This allowed them to march up to 50 miles in a day and launch surprise attacks on enemies who assumed they were too far away to pose an immediate threat. One of Shaka's most famous battlefield strategies was the bullhorn formation, Izimpondo Zenkomo, which involved a three-pronged attack. The chest, Isifuba, engaged the enemy in frontal combat, holding their attention, while the horns, Izimpondo, encircled them from both sides to trap and crush them. Meanwhile, the loins, Umuva, a reserve force, waited at a distance, ready to reinforce any part of the line that needed support. This strategy allowed the Zulu to annihilate their enemies with precision and efficiency. Shaka also reformed military logistics, ensuring that his troops could be rapidly deployed. He built military kraal, fortified homesteads, at strategic locations, allowing his armies to be stationed closer to potential battlefields. He implemented supply systems to sustain long campaigns, and his warriors were trained to fight without reliance on baggage trains, making them faster and more adaptable. Additionally, Shaka used psychological warfare, instilling fear in enemies by displaying the ruthless efficiency of the Zulu army and executing prisoners or defectors as a warning to others. Through these military innovations, Shaka Zulu not only expanded his kingdom, but also set the foundation for an era of dominance in southern Africa. His strategies and tactics influenced warfare across the region, with many groups, including the Ndebele and Ngoni, adopting and modifying his methods as they migrated. His reforms ensured that the Zulu military remained a formidable force long after his death, shaping the course of African history. Shaka Zulu's assassination on September 22, 1828, marked the dramatic end of his reign as one of Africa's most formidable leaders. By this time, his rule had become increasingly erratic and oppressive, especially after the death of his mother, Nandi, in 1827. Overcome with grief, Shaka imposed a brutal period of mourning, banning the planting of crops and the drinking of milk, and ordering the execution of thousands, including pregnant women and those who failed to grieve sufficiently. His extreme actions alienated many of his closest advisors, warriors, and even his own family, leading to growing resentment within his inner circle. His paranoia increased, and he reportedly planned further military campaigns beyond his empire, which many of his generals and family members saw as unnecessary and reckless. Recognizing the growing instability, Shaka's half-brothers, Dingane and Mlangana, along with a trusted general, Mbofa Kasithayi, plotted to overthrow him. They saw his erratic rule as a danger to the survival of the Zulu Kingdom and feared that his increasing tyranny would eventually lead to rebellion or the collapse of the empire he had built. Seizing the opportunity, while Shaka was relatively unguarded at his royal kraal in Kwadukuza, Stanger, present-day South Africa, they ambushed him. Using their spears, they stabbed him multiple times until he collapsed, reportedly uttering his final words, warning that the Zulu nation would fall into disarray after his death. Following Shaka's assassination, Dingane seized power, killing his co-conspirator Malangana shortly after to secure sole leadership. he attempted to erase much of Shaka's brutal legacy, but struggled to maintain the same level of military dominance. Despite his harsh rule in his final years, Shaka's assassination did not immediately end Zulu power. His military innovations and conquests had laid the foundation for a strong kingdom that continued to influence southern Africa for decades. However, his death marked the beginning of internal struggles within the Zulu leadership, which would later contribute to conflicts with European colonial forces in the 19th century. Shaka Zulu's legacy is one of both greatness and controversy, leaving a profound impact on southern Africa that endures to this day. As a visionary leader and military strategist, he transformed the Zulu Kingdom from a minor chiefdom into one of the most powerful African states of the 19th century. His military innovations, including the Iklewa spear, the bullhorn formation, and the disciplined Impi regiments, revolutionized warfare in the region, with his strategies later adopted by other African groups like the Ndebele, Ngoni, and Swazi. His role in the Mfecane, though destructive, led to the formation of new states and redefined the political landscape of southern and eastern Africa. Despite his military genius, Shaka's rule was also marked by ruthlessness and tyranny, particularly in his later years, where his paranoia and grief following his mother's death led to extreme policies and mass executions. His strict control over his warriors and harsh discipline created a highly efficient but fear-driven society. His assassination in 1828 by his half-brothers Dingane and Malangana marked the end of his rule, but did not erase his influence. The Zulu Kingdom continued to be a dominant force for decades, even challenging the British Empire in the Anglo-Zulu War of 1879, with warriors still using the tactics he developed. Today, Shaka is remembered as both a conqueror and a nation builder, a symbol of Zulu strength and resilience. His legacy is celebrated in South African history and culture, with monuments, literature, and folklore preserving his story. Modern Zulu identity is deeply tied to his achievements, and he remains an iconic figure, not only for the Zulu people, but for all of Africa. His leadership, military strategies, and ability to unite a fragmented people into a powerful kingdom ensure that his name remains one of the most legendary in African history. Shaka Zulu's story is one of power, ambition, and transformation, a tale of a leader who rose from exile to build an empire that changed the course of Southern African history. His military innovations, strategic brilliance, and relentless conquests cemented his place as one of the most formidable rulers of his time. Though his reign ended in betrayal and assassination, his legacy lives on in the strength and pride of the Zulu people and the impact he left on warfare and leadership. His story is a testament to how vision, determination, and innovation can shape the destiny of a nation. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this journey through history, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you never miss an exciting story. Let us know your thoughts in the comments. Who would you like to see covered next? See you in the next video.